1,000 times. Now, you took the mickey out of me because I got this lady's name wrong, because I didn't... See, can I just say, Afua, good afternoon. Afua.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I hear you've got married, so Afua Adam has become Afua Hagan.
That's it.
And I went, after the news, Afua Hagan. And Dave went, what is wrong with you? So I do... Congratulations. Why weren't we invited to the wedding?
Oh, don't worry. I'm having like 3, so you'll be invited to the next one.
Dave and me, please. Also delighted to welcome to the panel Jason Reed, UK lead at Young Voices and political commentator. Jason, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeremy. You'll be glad to know I'm not getting married anytime soon.
Well, listen, it's not my fault. You could join that. Haven't Talk got that app, a singles thing that Dave uses? We'll send you the details, Jace. Just
Please do.
Be happy for Afua, my man. Be nice about it.
I'm delighted.
But it's Hagan, not Hagan. What's wrong with me? Afua Hagan. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start about Prime Minister's question time. I know everybody is very strong on this. I'm going to go down a particular line for a reason, although I've been told repeatedly that I am too defensive of Boris Johnson. No, I'm not. What he did was wrong. The point I'm trying to make to people is this. Is it not time, with everything else we've got, fuel poverty, which is going to affect 40% of us, a cost of living crisis that is making it impossible for people to heat their homes, to buy food, to get a doctor's appointment, to get an operation? With the war in Ukraine, isn't it time that Partygate was put to bed? Afua, I'll start with you.
I think it is time the Partygate was put to bed, and I think the best way for it to be put to bed is for there to be a new leader to take us forward in a direction that the country really deserves, because you're absolutely right. There is loads of stuff going on that needs to have a leader who's properly focused and isn't always in a constant state of crisis, isn't always having to defend himself and his actions. And unfortunately, that leader is not Boris Johnson anymore. So yeah, we do need to focus on what we have at hand, but Boris Johnson is not the person to do that. I think at the moment, I just don't think that we have the lead. Well, they do say that the electorate gets the leader it deserves because he was elected. But I think Britain at this point really needs a strong and honest leader to take us forward. And that isn't Boris Johnson. And the way that you're going to be able to draw a line under Partygate is by him moving on.
But the truth is, Jason, that the Tory MPs will not remove him unless they believe that their seats and winning those seats is not viable. The truth of the matter is, whatever anybody says, there is no viable alternative, and you will have to drag him screaming and kicking out of number 10. Do you? I just don't see him going anywhere, do you?
I agree with that, Jeremy. I wish he would go. I've been saying for a long time that he should go, but we've got to have a bit of realism and a bit of pragmatism now. How long are we going to keep waiting for him to resign? He apologised, 35 times during Prime Minister's questions. He's had his fine from the Metropolitan Police. Maybe he's got more on the way. Maybe we've got more details to come out from the Sue Gray report. But it seems that this big waterfall moment where all this catastrophic evidence is going to appear and everyone's going to be so furious they're going to vote him out, it's not coming. It's not just around the corner. We've been waiting for a long time. And Tory MPs, I'm sure they're not all just out for themselves to keep their seats. I think a lot of them have integrity as well, but they do not have... They're not...
Well, if they had integrity, they'd vote him out. Can I ask you both something? And yes, I've been accused of being pro-Boris. I'm not. I just think there's bigger issues. Afua and Jason, answer me this, because I asked a Tory MP and I asked a Labour MP and I still don't understand. Boris Johnson goes into a room in his workplace and has a piece of cake. We're only talking about the fixed penalty notice he's had, and gets fined by the Metropolitan Police. Keir Starmer is in a house with 20 people eating pizza and having a beer, and Nicola Sturgeon takes a mask off and they don't get challenged by the police. Why? Afua?
I think actually because he's the Prime Minister, and perhaps because he made the rules, they want to make an example of him. And
Sadiq Khan or the Metropolitan Police?
Oh, everybody. Sadiq Khan and the Metropolitan Police. I think everybody wants to make an example of him. But I firmly believe if Keir Starmer or Nicola Sturgeon or anybody else broke the rules, and then yes, they should be fined the same way.
But they're not.
Absolutely.
But they're not.
I don't think there should be any difference between them. But I think they definitely wanted to make an example of the Prime Minister. But I actually think...
What? Has she gone? Has Mrs H's phone died? Right, try and get Afua Hagan back. Jason, are you all right? You there?
I am here, yes.
You see, she's blood. Honestly, she got married and he hasn't paid the bill, or she hasn't paid the bill. It's all gone wrong. Let me read you a couple of texts, Jason. Labour told the biggest lie of all. They said they would respect the voter. They spent 5 years trying to dismiss 52% of people that trusted their elected MP. Boris led the fight and listened to us. He was made to put us in chains by the left media. Jacqueline, answer that, Jason.
I think Jacqueline's absolutely right. This is a problem that is not going to go away for Labour, and especially for Keir Starmer, because he was the Brexit secretary, or the shadow Brexit secretary, in Jeremy Corbyn's cabinet. He cannot eliminate the past. He cannot just pretend that that never happened and that he was born Labour leader, because this keeps getting brought up and people are not going to forgive Labour that quickly for their attempt to run rampant over the democratic expression of what the British people wanted, to leave the European Union. It's especially true when Jeremy Corbyn has made even more of a fool of himself lately by getting himself kicked out of the party and by trying to, seemingly having defensive words to say about Vladimir Putin over the invasion of Ukraine. It becomes more incredible with each passing day that he ever took control of the Labour Party. And Keir Starmer happily served underneath him and campaigned for him to be Prime Minister. And it's going to take a lot for the British public to forget that.
Afua, just very quickly, two texts. Just this is what I'm trying to say to you. Why does the opposition keep banging on about Boris resigning? Why do they not use the tools available and table a notion of no confidence, ask for a general election? They will not do it because they will get trounced. They have no policies, no ideas. And I have no problem, it says, with Keir Starmer asking a question. But what I want is questions on fuel, the cost of living, immigration and the ridiculous green agenda. That's what blights my life, says Pete. That's why Boris Johnson won't go anywhere, because nobody's doing an effective job in opposition, are they, Afua?
Well, actually, nobody is doing an effective job in opposition. We don't have a viable opposition, and it's the best of a bad bunch, isn't it? And if Labour could, in fact, get their act together, have a viable leader, have some really strong policies, actually make a manifesto and stick to it and it not be, full of rubbish. If it was actually common sense, we would have a viable opposition, but we don't. So we're literally left with the dregs, which is Boris Johnson.
Both of you, very quickly, couple of other things. Are we doing enough to combat fuel poverty? Jason, today I read 40% of this country will be affected by fuel poverty.
We're not doing anywhere near enough. It's quite clear that energy bills are going to go up by maybe thousands of pounds in many cases this year. We're already hearing all kinds of harrowing stories of people having to choose between heating their homes or putting food on the table. This is a consequence of some appalling decisions that have been made in recent years, not just by our government, but by other governments across the West as well, with putting all our eggs in one basket, buying fossil fuels from Russia, with not investing anywhere near enough in things like nuclear power or biofuels, which are the energy of the future. And we are now suffering the consequences of that. Rishi Sunak's scheme to give us a small compulsory loan discount on our energy bills is a joke. It's not going to make any difference. It's not going to lessen the burden on anyone. And we are only going to hear more and more over the next few months about how much people are suffering because of fuel poverty, unless the government does something about it pretty soon.
Afua?
Oh, absolutely. The government hasn't done nearly enough. And there's so much that could be done, like green levies being paid out of general taxation instead of it, falling to us, the consumers, more investment in hydrogen technology, and also, all the other alternatives, wind power, solar. We just haven't done it. And we've been absolutely caught out by depending on places like Russia and Saudi Arabia. And so, no, not enough is being done. And people are going to continue to suffer with bills rising from about £1,200 more people could be paying on their energy bills. It's just, it's ridiculous. The government isn't doing enough.
And I genuinely think that is and should be the absolute focus. Just finally, guys, I'm going to miss Ukraine for a sec. I just want to talk about Prince Harry. We were talking about it with Dickie Arbiter. Barry says Harry is a disgrace. The sole reason he popped in to see the Queen was to top up his royal credentials. He cashed in on American TV soon after leaving here, saying he didn't agree with press invasion. He took his hundreds of millions of dollars. Then he comes over here with a camera crew. I will never, ever think about him again in the same way. Joanne Henry, stop calling Harry a boy. He's a middle-aged man and should know better. He cares about the Queen. Oh, please. We're not holding our breath on that one. He cares about himself and his wife. What would you say about that, Afua Hagan?
At the end of the day, and it's Hagan, I think...
I know, it was a joke. We're allowed to have a joke, Mrs. H. Come on.
We are.
We've
I
got
like
to.
Mrs. H. At the end of the day, Harry do right for doing wrong. You know, he could have not come to the UK, not seen the Queen, done Invictus Games and went home, and everybody would have complained about that. But he came to the UK, did see the Queen, nobody found out till afterwards, and everybody complained about that. Listen, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle cannot do right for doing wrong. That's it.
No, they can't. Jason?
I couldn't disagree more. That nice words are all very well from Harry, but actions speak louder than words, and his actions repeatedly have shown disdain for Britain, for his own family. He is the way he and his wife have behaved has been an insult to the Queen, who has not put a foot wrong. And this latest round of interviews he's doing with the American press is just part of this campaign where they're trying to have the best of both worlds. They're trying to leave royal life while maintaining their credentials and cashing in on their deals with Netflix and Spotify, and I'm sure various others as well. It's unacceptable, and quite rightly, the British people are not standing for it.
Completely agree with you. No, listen, I think it's true. So, guys, really appreciate your involvement today. Big news, of course, Talk TV next week. So, Jace, you'll be able to sit in that chair and not move and look straight down the camera. And Mrs. H, can we put, do we want Afua Hagan or do we want Mrs. H when you're next on? Because you like Mrs. H.
I'll have Mrs. H, please.
David and I am Verity looking forward to the invite. Seriously, guys, thank you both very much indeed. That was the political panel for Wednesday, 18 minutes past 5. This is Talk Drive.